Stop what you're doing and listen up. Before you even think about getting behind the wheel in 2026, you need to know that the very rules of the road are changing, and it could cost you a fortune. That's right, a sweeping set of new federal and state driving laws are rolling out, and they are not just minor updates. We're talking about 5 massive changes that could hit you with thousands of dollars in fines, skyrocket your insurance rates, or even get your license suspended. We've poured through the new legislation to uncover the most critical changes you absolutely must know about. We're talking about new technology that will be mandatory in all new vehicles, a zero-tolerance crackdown on a common habit most of us do every single day, and a surprising new rule about your car's own data that you won't believe. These aren't suggestions, they are new laws with serious teeth. Ignorance will not be an excuse. In this video, we're going to break down each of the 5 new rules, explain exactly what they mean for you, and give you the information you need to avoid the hefty penalties. If you want to protect your wallet and stay on the right side of the law, you cannot afford to miss this. Smash that like button to help spread this urgent warning to every driver on the road. All right, let's get straight into it. Thank you for hitting that like button. You're helping to get a critical warning out to drivers everywhere. The reality is, the way we drive in this country is about to undergo one of the most significant transformations we've seen in decades. This isn't fear-mongering. This is about being prepared. Federal and state governments have been working on a massive overhaul of traffic and vehicle regulations, and these new laws, set to take full effect in 2026, are designed with one thing in mind: enforcement. They are leveraging technology and closing legal loopholes in ways we've never seen before. For the unprepared driver, the consequences will be immediate and expensive. We're going to break down the 5 most important new rules you need to burn into your memory. Forgetting even one of these could have you facing fines that run into the thousands, or worse. So let's get you prepared. The first, and arguably the most technologically invasive new rule, is the mandatory implementation of alcohol impairment detection systems in all new vehicles. You heard that right. This is part of the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, and by 2026, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, or NHTSA, will have finalized the rule that requires automakers to build this technology into every single new car, truck, and SUV sold in the United States. This is not an optional feature like heated seats. This will be standard equipment, just like seatbelts and airbags. The goal is to completely eliminate drunk driving, but the way it works is what every driver needs to understand. This isn't your old-school clunky ignition interlock device that you have to blow into. The new technology is far more advanced and completely passive. Automakers are developing 2 primary types of systems. The first uses sensors embedded in the steering wheel or ignition button that can measure your blood alcohol content through your skin. The second, and more likely system to be widely adopted, uses a series of tiny sensors in the cabin that continuously monitor the air you exhale. These sensors are sophisticated enough to analyze the molecular content of your breath and can instantly detect if you are at or above the legal blood alcohol limit of 0.08. If the system detects impairment, your car simply will not start. Imagine being at a restaurant, having a couple of glasses of wine with dinner, an amount you might have felt perfectly fine to drive with in the past, and returning to your brand new car only to find it has locked you out. Here's where it starts to cost you. While this applies to new cars manufactured for the 2026 model year and beyond, the pressure it puts on the used car market and older vehicles will be immense. Insurance companies are already planning massive premium increases for drivers of older vehicles that are not equipped with this technology, branding them as high risk. Furthermore, if you are ever in an accident, and the other driver has a new car with a system that proves they were sober, the legal and financial liability on you, the driver of the older car, will be almost absolute. The days of questioning impairment will be over. The car itself will be the primary witness. This creates a powerful incentive to upgrade to a new vehicle, which for millions of Americans is a multi-thousand-dollar decision in itself. Resisting this change won't be an option for long. The second new rule is what law enforcement is calling the Digital Distraction Zero Tolerance Mandate. We all know distracted driving is dangerous, and we've had laws against texting and driving for years. But this new federal initiative, which states are aggressively adopting, takes it to an entirely new level. The old laws were difficult to enforce. An officer had to practically see you typing on your phone. The new mandate eliminates all ambiguity. It makes it illegal to physically hold or interact with any electronic device while your vehicle is in motion. This doesn't just mean texting. This means changing the song on your Spotify app, adjusting your GPS, or even just picking up your phone to look at a notification. The rule is simple. If the car is moving, your phone stays down. But here's the kicker that's going to catch so many people. In motion is being redefined in many jurisdictions to include any time you are in a lane of traffic, even if you are temporarily stopped. That means if you're at a red light or sitting in a traffic jam, picking up your phone is still a violation. The logic is that you are still actively operating a vehicle and need to be aware of your surroundings. The enforcement will be backed by high-resolution roadside cameras and officers trained to spot the telltale head-down posture of a distracted driver. The penalties are where you'll feel the real pain. First-time offenses in states adopting this mandate will start with fines of no less than $1,000. A second offense within 3 years could result in a fine of up to $3,000 and an automatic license suspension. Think about how many times you quickly check your phone at a long red light. In 2026, that habit, that single moment of inattention, could cost you thousands of dollars and your ability to drive. The only legal way to use your device will be through a hands-free system like Bluetooth. And even then, the law only allows for voice commands, not manual interaction with a screen mounted on your dashboard. This brings us to our third and perhaps most unnerving new rule: the Event Data Recorder Black Box Consent Law. Almost every modern car already has an Event Data Recorder, or EDR. It's a small device that records critical data in the moments leading up to and during a crash. Things like your speed, brake application, steering angle, and seatbelt use. For years, accessing this data required a warrant or the owner's explicit consent. But the new 2026 law changes the game entirely. Under this new legislation, by the very act of registering a vehicle in your name, you are giving implied consent for law enforcement and insurance companies to access your car's EDR data following any reported accident. Not just a major fatal crash, but any accident. Think about the implications of that. You're in a minor fender bender. You swear you were only going 25 miles per hour, but the other driver says you were speeding. In the past, it might have been your word against theirs. Now your insurance company can pull the data from your car's black box. If that data shows you were going 32 miles per hour, even just for a second before the impact, they could use that information to declare you partially or fully at fault. This could lead to a denied claim, leaving you on the hook for thousands of dollars in repairs. It also opens a Pandora's box of privacy concerns. This data creates a perfect, unbiased record of your actions leading up to an incident, and you are now legally presumed to have consented to its use against you. There is no opting out. If you drive, you are agreeing to this level of scrutiny. It fundamentally shifts the balance of power in accident investigations and insurance claims, putting the data from your own car in the driver's seat of your financial liability. The fourth major change is the national Move Over law standardization and enhancement. We've all seen the signs. Move over, it's the law. Every state has some version of this law, requiring drivers to slow down and, if possible, move over a lane for emergency vehicles with flashing lights. However, the laws have been inconsistent, and the penalties varied wildly. The new Federal Transportation Bill for 2026 changes that by creating a strict national standard that is far more expansive and carries much heavier penalties. The new standardized law expands the definition of vehicles you must move over for. It no longer just applies to police cars, fire trucks, and ambulances. Now it includes any stationary vehicle on the shoulder of the road displaying any form of warning lights. This means tow trucks, utility vehicles, roadside assistance vans, and even regular passenger cars with their hazard lights blinking. The law is trying to protect everyone on the side of the road, but it places a huge new burden of awareness on the driver. Furthermore, the slowdown portion is now explicitly defined. You must reduce your speed to at least 20 miles per hour below the posted speed limit. If the speed limit is 45 mph or less, you must slow down to 20 mph. Simply tapping your brakes won't cut it anymore. And the penalties for violating this new federal standard are severe. They are designed to be a powerful deterrent. A first-time violation without an accident will result in a federal citation with a fine of no less than $1,500. If your failure to move over contributes to an accident, even if you don't make contact with the stopped vehicle, you could face felony charges and fines that can easily exceed $10,000, not to mention a lengthy license suspension. This is a dramatic escalation from the typical state-level traffic ticket. Federal enforcement means this will be pursued aggressively across state lines. The days of pleading ignorance to a local move-over law are gone. This is a national mandate, and a single mistake, a moment of not paying attention to a disabled car on the shoulder, will have severe, life-altering financial and legal consequences. Finally, we come to the fifth rule, which is a bit different but could be the most costly of all for the average car owner: the Right to Repair Data Restriction Act. This one feels like something straight out of a corporate playbook because, well, it is. As cars become more like computers on wheels, automakers have been lobbying for more control over the data they generate and the software they run. This new law, framed under the guise of protecting proprietary technology and cybersecurity, effectively guts the independent auto repair industry. Here's how it works. Starting with 2026 models, the law allows manufacturers to encrypt and restrict access to critical onboard diagnostic systems. In the past, your trusted local mechanic could plug their diagnostic tool into your car's OBD2 port and see everything they needed to know to fix your vehicle. Under the new law, access to advanced systems, like the engine control unit, transmission modules, and advanced driver assistance systems, will be locked down. Only certified dealership service centers with proprietary software will have the keys. What does this mean for you? It means that for many common repairs, from a faulty sensor to a software glitch, your friendly, affordable neighborhood mechanic will be helpless. They simply won't have the tools to even diagnose the problem. You will be forced to take your car to the dealership for a vast number of repairs that were previously routine. And as anyone who has ever serviced a car at a dealership knows, you will pay a significant premium. This restriction on data access effectively creates a monopoly on repairs for the automakers. Your check engine light comes on? That might be a trip to the dealer. Your automatic emergency braking system is acting up? Definitely a trip to the dealer. This law will systematically drive up the cost of car ownership over the life of your vehicle, potentially costing you thousands of dollars in inflated, non-competitive repair bills. The right to choose where and how you get your car fixed is being severely limited, all under the banner of progress. So there you have it. 5 massive changes that are set to redefine the experience and the cost of driving in America. From cars that won't start if they think you've been drinking, to zero-tolerance rules on phone use, to black boxes that testify against you, a national move-over law with felony penalties, and the slow death of the independent auto shop. Being a driver in 2026 will require a new level of awareness and discipline. The best thing you can do is start changing your habits now. Put the phone away, be hyper-aware of your surroundings, and understand that your car is no longer just a private space. It's a data-gathering machine with rules you need to follow. Let's pick up right where we left off and continue to peel back the layers on these new laws, because understanding the headline is one thing, but knowing how to navigate the reality is something else entirely. The intersection of these new rules creates a web of potential liabilities that can trap even the most careful driver. Let's revisit the mandatory alcohol impairment detection systems for a moment. We've established that your new car might refuse to start, but the implications run deeper. What about false positives? The technology, while advanced, is not infallible. These passive systems, whether they are touch-based or breath-based, could potentially be triggered by outside contaminants. Think about the alcohol content in hand sanitizer, which we all use frequently now. Could a recent application on your hands confuse a touch-based sensor? Some breath-based systems could theoretically be triggered by certain diabetic conditions, or even by the trace amounts of alcohol in some mouthwashes. The legislation currently provides very little guidance on the process for contesting a vehicle lockout. You could be left stranded, late for work or an important appointment, with no immediate recourse because your own car has judged you. The burden of proof will be on you to prove you were sober, a bizarre and frustrating reversal of legal norms. This technology effectively creates a situation where you are guilty until proven innocent, with your vehicle acting as judge and jury. Now, let's connect this to the digital distraction mandate. The zero-tolerance approach, especially the rule about not touching your phone even while stopped in traffic, will have a massive impact on the gig economy. Think about the millions of drivers for Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, and other services. Their entire job revolves around interacting with a phone app. They need to accept rides, check routes, and communicate with customers. While hands-free voice commands are the legal workaround, the reality of these apps is that they often require a quick tap on the screen to accept a job or confirm a pickup. A moment of hesitation could mean losing in fare. These drivers will now be forced to choose between potentially violating the law with a quick tap or losing income. This puts an entire class of workers in a legal gray area, where performing their job as designed could lead to a $1,000 fine. It will force app developers to completely redesign their interfaces around voice-only operation, a change that will take time and inevitably have bugs, further complicating the lives of drivers who are just trying to make a living. The true power of these new laws, however, becomes apparent when you see how they work together, and the event data recorder is the glue that binds them all. That little black box is the silent witness to everything. Let's imagine a scenario. You're driving on the highway and you see a tow truck with its lights on up ahead on the shoulder. You know you need to slow down and move over. You tap your brakes, but perhaps you don't slow down to the mandated 20 mph below the speed limit. At the same time, your phone, which is in a cradle on the dashboard, buzzes with a notification. You glance at it for a split second, not even touching it. A car in front of you suddenly brakes and you have a minor rear-end collision. In the past, this might have been a simple insurance claim. But in 2026, the investigation looks very different. With implied consent, the other driver's insurance company and law enforcement immediately pull your EDR data. That data shows two damning facts. First, it shows your speed was only 10 mph below the speed limit when you passed the tow truck, a clear violation of the new federal move-over law. That's a $1,500 fine right off the bat and establishes a pattern of negligent driving. Second, the car's more advanced internal systems might even log that the driver-facing camera detected your eyes shifting away from the road for 2 seconds, just moments before the crash. This is used as evidence of a digital distraction, even though you didn't touch your phone. The combination of these two data points provided by your own car is used to assign you 100% of the fault for the accident. Your insurance claim is denied, you're on the hook for all the repairs, you receive a massive fine for the move-over violation, and your insurance premium skyrockets because you're now classified as a high-risk, distracted driver. See how quickly it spirals? Each rule on its own is a problem. Together, they are a financial minefield. And the reach of the right to repair restrictions extends far beyond just costly repairs. It fundamentally changes your relationship with the vehicle you own. It erodes the very concept of ownership. If you can't choose who fixes your property, do you truly own it? This will have a chilling effect on the used car market. As independent mechanics are slowly squeezed out, the value of older cars that can still be easily repaired will likely see a temporary spike, but long-term vehicles will become more like disposable electronics. Once a complex encrypted system fails out of warranty, the dealership repair cost could be more than the car is worth, forcing you to scrap an otherwise perfectly good vehicle. This creates a cycle of dependency, pushing consumers back to the dealerships to buy new cars that come with the same restrictive ecosystem. It's a closed loop from which the consumer has little escape. What you need to understand is that the theme for driving in 2026 and beyond is control, and that control is shifting away from the driver and toward corporations and the government. Your car is no longer just a tool for transportation. It's a node in a network, a rolling data center that is constantly monitoring you, collecting information, and in some cases, making decisions for you. The autonomy and privacy we once took for granted in our vehicles are being systematically dismantled under the banners of safety and security. So, what can you do? This isn't a call to despair, it's a call to adapt and be incredibly smart. First, you must become a master of your own vehicle's technology. When you buy a new car, read the manual, understand its systems, and know what data it collects. Second, you have to retrain your driving habits now. Make it an unbreakable rule that your phone is not touched, for any reason, once the car is on. Practice heightened awareness for vehicles on the shoulder. These habits need to become second nature before the penalties become severe. Third, be meticulous with your vehicle's maintenance, but also be prepared to fight for your rights as a consumer. Support organizations that advocate for right-to-repair laws and data privacy. Finally, spread this information. An informed driving public is the only real defense against the overreach of these new regulations. Your friends, your family, your coworkers, everyone needs to know what's coming. The open road has always been a symbol of freedom, but the rules of that road are being rewritten. The freedom to drive will now come with a heavy price of surveillance and a much smaller margin for error. The car is no longer a simple machine of steel and rubber. It's a complex legal and technological environment that you must navigate with perfect precision. The good news is that you now know what's coming. You have the knowledge to protect yourself, your finances, and your freedom to drive. Don't take it for granted. The changes are coming, and they are coming fast. Be prepared.